everyone for being here. A different venue than we normally are. We're normally in Mykonos, but tonight we're here in honor of National Poetry Month. So we just wanted to welcome you all to here. So we have special thanks tonight for the Canada Council of the Arts and for the National League of Poets, who are supporting us tonight by paying an honorarium to our poets, which is pretty fabulous, we think. So thank you for that, and we welcome our featured readers tonight, Penn Kemp and Lawrence Hutchman. And I'm going to introduce Susan Downe. She's going to introduce our first reader, Penn Kemp. And if you recognize Susan, it's because she read for us in November. So we're very happy to have her here tonight. So let me welcome them.
There's no company more appropriate with whom to celebrate Poetry Month than that of our poet laureate, Penn Kemp. She whom the writers trust dubs a one-woman literary factory. She'll be handing out notices of upcoming events. She's pretty amazing. I want you to experience an example of Penn having fun. Meta-meditation. The woman beside me stifles a chortle. The woman across constantly sniffs. The cougher starts a chorus of sympathetic sneezes. I, of course, am completely still, except for the pen scratching this page. Meta is Pali for loving kindness. Let the cougher indulge in his coughing completely the way we are taught to sit, to breathe, to be. With full attention, he has mine, just hearing. The cough explodes, the silence just before we could have been enlightened. Emphysema, empathy, emptiness of lung, of mind, TB, or to be realized. In rest in the silence, and sometimes I just have a nice little nap. We look up a word in the dictionary, poem. Poem from the Latin, poema from the Greek, poem, something made. Penn Kemp, poet laureate, she who makes, she who has achieved special distinction as a maker, special distinction as a poet, and as a teacher, a maker, a shaper of new poets, who has offered and continues to offer readings, workshops, performances just about everywhere. Rajasthan, Findhorn, that's Scotland. Over the years, 20 books, 4 plays, 6 CDs, multimedia productions, chapbooks, anthologies. In 2000, Penn linked up with the Indian goddess of creativity, Sarasvati. Am I saying that right, Penn? Sarasvati. To present workshops and lectures at 12 colleges and universities in India. In London, here, poems on the buses, poets and poems on air on CHRW, Western University Radio, and so on and so on. Now, as a sound poet, Penn is the only woman I can think of who can seduce a large number of people, strangers to each other, to burst into big, big sounds. Sounding, she tells us, is a variety of our wailing, is our first and perhaps our last resource for creative expression. We are told in her warm, melodious voice, let's do this together. This will be interesting. This will be fun. I knew Penn's parents long before I met her. Anne, whom she calls Pretty Anne. Actually, she says, my pretty mother. And Jim. Penn invites us, as you'll see on the notices, to come to the Arts Project, 203 Dundas Street, on June 5th, a Thursday, at 7 p.m. Exhibited will be the glorious works of Jim Kemp, admired London painter, one of London's handsomest men, and beloved father of Penn. She and videographer Dennis Siren will accompany Jim's paintings with her video poems. Jim's paintings will be on those walls from the 3rd through the 14th of June. The collaborations continue. Here is our friend Penn Kemp.
Thank you very much for that sweet introduction. It's nice to have my parents brought back to life. I came back here in 2001 when Mom had a stroke, and I'm so happy to have done that. I went to Western and didn't know Lawrence, but because he's younger than I am, and left London as fast and as quickly as I could to get to teach in Timmins, and then from there to places like India. And that poem that Sue found is in a book called Sarasvati Skates, and it was part of a retreat in India that I did for 4 weeks. Turn off your cell phones, please. And hi, Ola. Hi, Jen, come on in. I was in India, I think, yes, in a retreat. And it was 4 weeks long, and I was to keep silent for those 4 weeks, which those of you who know me know it's an unlikely story. And the teacher, that poem was about the teacher who was talking about creativity and said, do not, we weren't supposed to write. And at that point I took up my pen and started to write. And now I will read. Disarming le revenant. Imagine you're lying in bed, letting thoughts float. Soon as I'm persuaded to sleep, the poem returns, trailing a slip of sultry across thought. Dream-wise, I convince the lines to burn ridges in my brain, just by lying perfectly still until committed to memory. And then my arm moves to the computer, a power book that sleeps like a lapdog at my feet, its one green eye winking across the dark in sleep mode, dozing and alert to the touch of any one finger on any key but return. Disarming the revenant, I sure don't sleep as well with this restless creature in my room. But when the poems surface, it's ready to snap them down at a stroke of the key onto its crystal gray screen that promises a liquid depth and is all electrical event like an aneurysm to the brain. This is not I speaking, understand? This is not what I want to write. This is the poem, and I have no hand in it. I want to write a comedy. That's rich, that's funny, laughs a voice in my head that keeps right on talking the poem down the tree and onto the screen, is slightly distracted now, and I want to go to sleep alone without words to keep me company. It's late. You won't be able to write in the morning, my common sense self declaims, and the poem laughs. You are writing right now. This is all there is. In the morning, there is nothing at all to say, so shut the duck up. Sequence. I glimpse a glance from cat green eyes that refract light, reduce fact, fuse and refuse. I am lying on a matted forest floor, waiting for the known universe to roll over me, toss me aside with an errant claw, or lift me towards celestial spheres I might have missed till now. Bolting from the blue, the sudden poem lights on my shoulder, a tameable parakeet, ready to unroll words like some sort of weird piano. Imagine a player piano out here in the deep mahogany woods beyond the rule. This bird comes close to naming herself, or her desire. Play again, or pray be gone, pair again, paragon. These poems are poems from a collaboration that I did with a really fine artist called Stephen McCabe, and I just adore working with people from other media. And it stretches the spoken word or the written word into other whole dimensions. And this is the book I'm launching tonight. There's a poem about Aeolian Hall in here, and dreams, many dreams. But the one I wanted to read especially was written in, I guess last year in early April, when it was raining rather than snowing. Naturalize the dream spreads into my backyard. It is raining. I have fallen asleep, listening to downpour on greenhouse vinyl roof. I have fallen asleep, listening to laments by Natalie Goldberg. Nat, she calls herself when chiding or coaching or encouraging more writing. The gnats have emerged from hibernation or larvae to buzz about my face, agitated by upcoming storm. Or are these midges, fungus gnats, all winter, have harbored among my too well-watered plants, breeding, eating the sweet succulents, and now emerging. Lightning flickers and computer growls, but it will go on back up if struck, I hope. Thunder roars back, shaking the window frame, but still far distant. The pressure before a storm weighs down upon my head, flattening scalp, wedging premonition into my febrile brain. The storm itself will not shake free. It is not just the drama of stirring boughs and pelting rain. For Natalie's voice as I sleep advises writers to rein in their wild mind, even though it might rear and buck. Through the storm I listen to her thunder and lightning tape, skipping stones across the pond, skipping ropes that pull us both to other dimensions beyond the known. Somewhere beyond the pervasive rattle, waves break on the shore. Species die, versify. I step into the current, willing to float and or submerge as the lake wishes, until from the shore Natalie waves me back for the next shift of scene. Now we're swimming together toward the city. Water falls off us like liquid wings of teal, murky and lukewarm, that should feel frigid given the lacy fronds of ice creeping from shore. Are we drifting into hypothermia? Not in this dream dimension where elements mingle. Joy beyond perception propels our arms, strong crawl toward Kali, who changes us all. Culture shock and smooth return. Dimensions cross over like watercolors, bleeding but not muddy, merging separate realities, a commonality of cloud connective tissue. Striating web strands lie between blue spheres suspended here, before faint color dawns again. Now in morning sun, I'll plant snapdragons and zinnias, flowers to honor the day. Sunflowers preside over their domain with stately crimson nods, reminding me to mind the light demands of day after silver night-long notes. I'm trying to look for a bit. Here it is, stirring, not stirring. Another dream, and animals seem to be appearing in people's dreams these days. And I don't know whether it's because we're taking over their territory or we're taking over their territory. Stirring, not stirring. Honey drips from my nose, coats my hair in blonde, stiff strands. I am standing very still, calling bees by scent. Pheromones draw them to collect on me, hiving off to a giant new temporary queen, spun down from my chin in a grand pharaonic beard. My eyes, my ears are bees shut, open only to buzz. What I don't know is that I'm here in front of a bear's cave on the first warm day of spring, attending emergence as swarm bursts from entrails of bull and bear. Bee goddess, bear goddess, midwife, be with us, midlife and beyond. Decades, centuries, speed, past, future possibles into the past as currencies of passable presence. I am standing before the entrance of deep cave, a cave I recognize only by the dark its shadow casts. Fire gleams, fire climbs the walls, shapes dance into consistent form. The sense of bear emerges into 3 dimensions. Someone from behind must be holding up a bear skin for Ursel, Artemis, bear woman, shape shifter. There is no one here, but this bear shape is now my contour. Bear shape becomes me, becomes my own new comfort, large enough to roam back, large enough to call home. The last poem of this sequence, dream sequence, which is also a CD that is out in Night Vision that Pendas Gavin Stairs, my husband, produced. And of course, I didn't bring copies. In light. Let the light in, please. Open the blinds to see that shadow lies where light does not fall. Where there is no shadow, there can be no fear. Where there is no fear, all is light. Let light penetrate all our permeable membrane of skin. Let it illuminate dark corridors of blood and vein. Let light fill our whole body till cells dance like dust motes. Let the sun beam light through our pores till we glow luminous and radiant, incandescent as the day's eye. Let us eat light like plants. Let us chew the bright air till we can swallow light like fire eaters. Let us assimilate light till we are light, just that bearable lightness of being, just. I would really like to thank Stan and his group, and Linda and Dawn and all the people from Open Mic who do such a great job month after month at Mykonos. It's a truly needed series in this city for people to express their poems. Poetry London is absolutely phenomenal in bringing poets in, but we need to hear our own as well. And I seem to have time for a sound poem, and this one is dedicated to my beloved husband, Gavin Stairs. And it's his birthday on Friday. So this is my birthday poem to you, babe. It shouldn't start with a list, but it does. But it's not a grocery list. List. At last I can listen to you or look at you, because when I'm reading, I have aged eyes, and so they dance all over the page, and I have to follow it like a 6-year-old with my thumb. But for a sound poem, I know those sound poems. I so admire the spoken word people who memorize, but this brain does not like to memorize. Back to the list. It's from a book called Animus, which Gavin did. It's very pretty, with, again, drawings from a dear friend. And it was put on, as I love to do, it was first done as a long sound piece, a book, and then done as a play, and then back as a book of poetry. List, 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 10, list, 10, list, 10, listen to the hum. Oh, there's a motif at last. I found a motif. It's a bee motif. Listen to the hum of the bee. Listen to the hum of the bee, love. Listen to the hum of the bee, love. And listen to the hum of the bee, love it. Listen to the hum of the bee, love it. Win. Listen to the hum of the bee, love it. Wing. Listen to the hum of the bee, love it. Winging. Listen to the hum of the bee, love it. Winging. Listen to the hum of the bee, love it. Winging across. Listen to the hum of the beloved winging across a crow. Listen to the hum, the bright light. Listen to the hum of the beloved winging away across a crow dead. Listen to the hum of the beloved winging away across a crowded room. Listen to the hum of the beloved winging away across a crowded rumor. Listen to the hum of the beloved winging away across a crowded rumor heard. Listen to the hum of the beloved winging away across a crowded rumor heard. Oh, listen to the hum of the beloved winging away across a crowded rumor heard only. Oh, listen to the hum of the beloved winging away across a crowded rumor heard only by spear. Listen to the hum of the beloved winging away across a crowded rumor heard only by spirit. Listen to the hum of the beloved winging away across a crowded room heard only by spirit. You listen to the hum of the beloved winging away across a crowded rumor heard only by spirit ears. Thank you very much, and I look forward to your years.
How much fun was it sharing that last poem with us?
Oh, it's fun. I liked watching. I slyly took a look at Gavin's face, and he blushed, and then he lowered his eyes, and then he shut his eyes. I really like, if we had longer, I really love doing participatory sound poetry. That is so much fun. And I'll do that at George's Circle on May 9th, I think it is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And all the information is on pages back there. Yeah.
Is writing a sound poem any different than when you write other poems? Do they, could you maybe say something about that?
Are you Derek? Do I remember you from the Elegy? Thank you for coming. Yeah, I really am for primary audio person, so sound takes me. So the idea, if I hear, something like Tennyson outraged me as a Western, with the murmurs and the so sound. If I hear two words that flow together and they make sense, then it becomes a kind of a lyric poem. But if it's just sound, then it becomes a sound poem. But also sound poetry is for when the grief or the emotion, whatever it is, the obsession is, this is a book of obsession people. Yep, upside down. And so when there's obsession rolling around my head, it often becomes at 4 a.m. These are 4 a.m. poems. Yeah. And so they don't necessarily. I usually love to start with a syllable to which I add another and another and another till I come to a sentence that makes sense. So this book is in 7 pieces. It's arranged quite musically with one poem in it in 7 different variations. The poem is Once Having Known You, the certainty of seeing you move, always through my mind and sometimes through my spirit moves me certainly. But that goes like, that one poem, that one line, which is, I just gave you the ending, it can go into 20 minutes of, whoa, you know, like that. So, and they're lined up concretely. As Susan was saying, my father was an artist, so I have a visual sensibility that I like to splay across the page randomly.
Do you call it singing sometimes?
Absolutely not. Mr. Golding would have kicked me out of the choir. I went to Masonville SS 18, our 2-room schoolhouse, which dates me nicely, and there was a choir. We played the flutophone. It was all lovely until I sang. And Mr. Golding asked me to stay in the choir because I was tall and I had a very expressive face and knew all the words, but I just had to keep the words inside.
I bet you could hardly wait to get into sound poetry.
I didn't. Oh, also the origin of sound poetry was the birth of my daughter, yes. Labor was a major emergence of sound poetry. I made wails and caterwauls and doggerel that I had no one I could create. It is fun to do. It is awfully fun to go into schools. I'll be going into schools the first week of May, and I just adore dressing up. Somebody gives me clothes, and I dress up smartly, and then I make noises like that. And I have taught, so I know. Well, in grade 9 in Timmins, I did discipline I was 21 and they were 22 or 20, and they spoke mostly French that I couldn't understand because it was franglais. And I disciplined them by threatening to sing Lord Randall, my son. Where you been all the day, Randall, my son? And they kept very quiet for me all year. There are various sly ways of becoming a sound poet, mostly fun. Yes?
With your collaborations with visual artists, which comes first, the visuals and then your poems? Or
I'm not very talented in my vision, and so it's always the poem that comes first. And then the collaborator runs and jumps, and hoops are large. And, yeah. I wish I could do it the other way. I could, I suppose, but it goes faster that way. It's interesting though, because I do love using paintings as inspiration for work. The whole ekphrastic genre is interesting to me, and translating one medium in terms of another is fascinating. So, but those are pretty well specific poems, like single poems that would emerge. Yeah. Yes, Carolyn. Or Ola. I'm sorry, my eyes are not on.
I got the sense from one poem that you write actually on the computer, or do you write pen and paper, and what is each
Yeah,
of
good
those
question.
like? How do they differ?
I was, from the age of 6, I did write by pencil or pen, but now I'm very, very left-handed, so the computer for me organizes my brain quite nicely, brings up the other side of the brain, so I can sort of, and I'm also very lazy, so I edit on the sly and the fly. So yeah, I do write on a computer, and I write quite not religiously at all, but I do try to write vaguely a poem every day, and mostly out of dreams, which make, as you probably know, for very bad poetry, very boring poetry. It's really, they're so fascinating, and yet they don't translate to the other person. I can't understand. So of these, the dream sequence poems, which are, of course, fantastic poetry, but they are the creme de la junk. I'm looking forward to hearing Lawrence, and I'm looking forward to hearing you too, and thanks again, Steph.
Of zero, and those glacial snowbanks start to slowly melt, and you watch for patterns, the unexpected emergence of grass and its widening swath, ever slow diminishing of the snow.